Welcome everyone. So happy to see you come by today. I do have a project and this is going to be a craft along. I like doing these so I don't have to do so much editing because editing just takes hours to do. So I like just to present this to you in sort of real time. I will cut out some of the repetitive, boring parts of it, but for the most part, I'm just going to talk you through it. I'm making today a little folio, a simple, easy folio idea that you can use either to put some pages in for a journal, or you can just use it to store different pieces of ephemera. And then we're going to make a gift bag for it. So this would be a cute little gift to give someone who might be interested in this type of stuff, and like a happy mail gift or something of that nature. It'll be, or something for yourself, because it'll be really cute when we get done. And I'm using a digital kit from Pixie Dust Files, and I'll link that kit down below. But you don't need a kit necessarily. All these ideas that I'm going to give you, excuse me, can be done with any scrapbook paper you like. And so you don't have to have the kit. And so I have a page, I have a one full page that I like. And collage pages really work well with this idea, I think, in my opinion. And this is printed on what would be a good cardstock, or not cardstock, excuse me, scrapbook paper, like a the heavier one. This is what this paper is, and I printed. I'm sorry, got a frog, and I printed one on just regular paper. So this is like 26-pound paper, and this is like 42-pound paper in that vicinity. But 2 pages of scrapbook paper would be all you really needed. I'm using the lighter weight paper because I am going to put in this vellum. Now, this vellum is absolutely not something you need to do. Just like I say, two pages of just scrapbook paper would be fine, 8.5 by 11. But this, I like the sound of vellum, and it makes this really satisfying crinkly sound. I just love that sound. So that's why I'm putting that in mine. But you definitely can make this without it. And I've shared this before, and you're probably getting tired of me sharing it. But this is what I use. I use this tracing paper, and it's 56 pounds. It's Bachmore. I like it because it ends up being a lightweight vellum. It's not as heavy as vellum. It's just a little lighter weight. It goes to the printer like a dream, and I really have enjoyed it for journals. It's been a good thing, good investment. So anyways, what I'm going to do here for myself, I'm going to sew around the perimeter. Now, you don't have to sew around the perimeter. You can definitely use your glue stick and then go maybe with a nice wet glue around the perimeter of it, and hold them together that way. You do not have to do the sewing, but I'm going to do it. I just like the effect. Now, before I do that, I have to determine on my cover, and this is going to be the cover, what do I want, which side do I want to be, prominent. And every paper will be a little different, so I'm just going to experiment. You're going to have to leave like 1.5 inches for the flip over, but yeah, I just look and I see, which one do I like. And for this particular page, I really think this is probably the winner here. So this is going to be on the cover, and this is going to fold over this way. So just determine which way where you want that little flap to be, and where you want most of that to show on the cover. And once I've determined that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue some lace here on the little flap over, the little part that gets flapped over, that gets put over like that. I want a little bit of lace on there. So I'm just going to pick my lace out, and I'm going to run a little bit of glue right here on the edge just to secure the lace a little bit so it doesn't slip and slide too much. And we'll just put that down there like so. Now, I will want this to dry before I sew on it, and You know, you can do what you would like to do, but I do not like to sew on wet glue. So I will put this aside until it is dried, and then I will sew around the perimeter. Now you could, if you wanted to do this right away, you didn't want to wait for the glue to dry, I would recommend sewing within an inch on the lace side, so it'd be these 3 sides. Then you can tuck the lace in, and you may have to, you know, hold it a little bit, and then sew down here. So that's a way you can do it without waiting for it to dry. Just putting that out there. In fact, that's the way I did one of them already, but I'm just giving you a couple of alternatives here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just put a little glue in the middle, and so that when I sew it, there will be a lot less shifting. So I'm just going to anchor it down that way. And then for the vellum, I don't want it to show too much. So I think for the vellum, I'm just going to put a little glue on the corners like that with my glue stick rather than a wet glue, and then put down my vellum on that. So in this way, when I sew it, it'll be anchored a little bit, and then of course I'm going to come in with my clips. Love these little clips. You know, I really probably should make a list of supplies I use all the time and put them down below. I know that some people have Amazon shops, and but that wouldn't be so important to me. Just you having a list so I don't have to keep repeating myself where I get these things. I need to work on that. So now it's ready. Once this dries, it's ready to sew around the perimeter of it. Okay. Now, the magic of filming, I have one already that I've done. So just pretend we don't have the folds in it. So this one is been done just exactly the way I said. Now, this is going to be, remember, this is going to be our the side we're going to look at, and this is going to be the flap, or the flap over. That needs to be about 1.5 inches. So that's the scoring you're going to you'll need to do right away. You'll need to do that scoring right down there. And a board is really great when you're going through a lot of layers. However, you can you know, put your ruler up there and use your stylus and go over and over and over, you know, to get it to fold. You can do that too. So you don't have to have the board, but they're just handy dandy is all. So you'll get that fold done. And then for the other fold, what you're going to need to do, sorry about that noise, is you'll want to fold this over and be like 1/2 inch from this fold here. And whatever that turns out to be, that's where you're going to be doing the fold. We're allowing this 1/2 inch because we want to fill this stuff, we want to fill it up with things, and we just want it to be an easy fold over is all. Hear that noise? Isn't that satisfying? I really love that sound. Anyhow, so now we've got the folio cover done. So now we can make some decisions. Do we want to put in some journaling pages? And you certainly can do that. You can cut down your pages. And I believe these, let me see, what are the measurements here? These are 8. Oh, these are 8 by 8s. And then folded in half. And you can just stitch those in there quite easily. And of course, the more pages you put in here, the less ephemera you can add. You can just put in like maybe half this amount. Maybe put in like you know, 3 pages or something, just enough to maybe not call it a journal, but maybe a list, someplace you can keep a list on. A list maker, or dot down ideas, or things you know, like a to-do list, or that type of thing. I think sometimes if we give a gift to somebody and we call it a journal, it may be intimidating to them if they're not used to journaling. But we can, you know, just say, here's a little package to keep list of things like Bible verses or um, short memories you want to remember, or, you know, sometimes we have to kind of like give them options of how to use it. Uh, Sometimes that is helpful if you're going to do that. So anyways, you could definitely do that, and I would probably sew this in last if you're going to do that. So what I'm going to concentrate on now is I'm going to make some ephemera, because this can simply be an ephemera keeper. We will come back. Well, let's do that now. Let's just do that now. We're going to get a tie done here. Yeah, let's just do that now. We don't need to do it later. So now what you could have done, of course, you could have sewn in some ribbon. And if you didn't, if you forgot to do that, a nice little handy thing you can do is just, what I do is I just fold over a little piece here on the edge. And then I get a little button. Probably a smaller one than this, but oh well, I get a little button in there. I sew the button on, and then we've got like a little wrap around, and then we come back and we wrap around the button. Okay, so that's how I like to do it. I don't know, it just looks kind of cute this way. Don't know how you like to do it. So I am going to get my needle and thread, and I'm going to sew that on. You probably don't need to see that, but we'll be back when I get down to the end of it. Alright, so I've sewed on my little button, little vintage button. I love the look of this, but I will say, if you're not a sewer, this is fiddly, so you might get frustrated. I would just glue my ribbon into the, I would glue it in here between the papers before I glued everything shut. So that's what I would do if you're not a sewer. That can be a little frustrating. And if you are sore and you plan to sew this, it's a good idea to try to go in and out of the same two holes, and then put something over this to kind of secure that area a little bit. So just trying to think of something I can glue over this. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Let's do this one here. A little piece of ephemera. It would be a good idea to glue something there so that that stitching will stay inside. So that's just my recommendation for it. But I do like the look of it. I do like this little button bit of a closure. Okay, let's just see where we can put that. There we go. Yep. We'll just glue right over that little space and make sure that all those threads stay where they're supposed to be. So yeah, so now we can just wrap this around a couple of times and then come back in and go around the button, and there we have a little closure for our journal. All right, or folio, or whatever you may be using this for. So there we go. So that's done. So we're going to make a little bag for our folio project, and I have went ahead and I have filled it up with some ephemera and some journal pages, and I think in the next video I'm going to show you how I made those from this kit and give you ideas on what you can put inside. But for right now, you want to have your project completed so you know how heavy and thick it's going to be. I've got 2 pieces of paper here, tracing paper actually, but you can use 2 sheets of whatever you have. It can be paper, you can cut down wrapping paper on a roll, you know, to have it be like a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So you can use a variety of things to make this with. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together, the 2 sheets together. Now I am using 2 different printouts because this is vellum paper and you can see through it, so I wanted to be able to see through it pretty well to see what's on the inside, so I'm using this plain ledger paper for one of them, and the other one is a decorative paper. It's just what I decided to do. So I'm just going to glue about a 1/2 inch down there. And then we'll want to connect these 2 papers together. Let's see. Yeah, this is how I was going to do it. Alright, so this is curling a little bit. I gotta be quicker than this, right? Alrighty. Here we go. I'll just stick it down here and glue these together here then. Okay. So this one digital print was smaller, but that's okay because they're going to be taken off the top. It's going to be too tall for our project. Alright, so we're going to get that glued down together. Okay. And then what we're going to do is I want this to have a flap, a wrap over. So I'm going to take this side here and I'm going to fold it about a little over 2 inches maybe. Maybe 2 1/4. Something like that. Just a little bit. Just going to fold that over like that. So the front is going to be, the front of the package is going to be facing us. And then we're going to take our project, I'm going to lay it inside, and I want to allow at least a 1/2 inch here from this fold over. And I'm going to fold it, you know, right about here, I think, for the other side of it. I don't want to fold on the seam, so I'm trying to avoid that a little bit. Just coming just part way over. Yeah, working with a ledger paper does make it easy. I can see the lines. So that when we put our project in, we have, you know, a little bit of room here on each side. That just didn't want to make it tight. And then I'm going to lay this over, and I'm going to, now this is coming past the fold, so we don't want to go past the fold. We want to cut this down so it like is, you know, right before the fold. So I would say I'm going to give it a snip here to get it started. Just gonna snip it there. It's about, yeah, it's about where we want it. And then I'll go ahead and take off that amount. And I think that amount looks to be like almost 2 inches there. Not quite. That is, yeah, it's 1.5 inches that I took off, so that it comes in and it will allow this to fold over. All right, so now here is our bag, and the bag's gonna, this is going to be the front of the bag here that's facing up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tack this down. I want this to remain loose. I don't want to glue this down here for the way I'm doing it. You could, but for what I'm doing, I want to keep this opened. But I am going to tack it down just like a 1/2 inch down here at the bottom. Just enough to keep it steady. And then I think what I'll do is, let me just put a little paper clip in here, because this tracing paper is doesn't lay as flat as regular paper. Now I'm going to fold this. I'm going to turn it over, so the front's here, and I'm turning it over to the back. I am going to fold this up about a 1/2 inch. Just about a 1/2 inch there. I'm going to fold that up. And we'll give it a good burnishing. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to bring this down so the seam, that little seam here, if you can see that seam, I'm making it be in line with where these two papers meet. Doing it there, and I'm doing it over here as well. There we go. So now we have these two papers, these two done like so. I am going to cut this one here because I want this to come up. This is in the back. Remember, the front has the open thing. So this one here I'm going to cut down just a little bit, like so. And then I'm going to glue this I'm going to glue this part here up onto our bag. And that way we have perfect little angles here on the side. And our bag is all sealed on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to put this in again just to test it out. Probably should let it dry a little bit more than I am, but I'm going to just put it in and give it a test. And so now I'm going to see at what point I want this peeking out. So I'm just going to cut along here just so that the bag can peek out a little bit at the top, but that's up to you. And of course I have to because this digital, you know, was smaller than the 8.5 by 11. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to come in here and just come along that line there with decorative scissors. However, you can rip it if you got paper, or you can just cut it off with a cutter. It's okay. All right. So now I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing here to make the bag decorative. So I have some vintage music paper here, and I'm just going to take off the graphics. Not too happy about that. And then we're just going to maybe take off this border like that. And I'm going to take off about this much here. All right, and I'm going to tuck this underneath here like that. I like this uneven tearing. In fact, I probably should do more of that as I go along. So we're just going to start stuffing a little stuff into that flap in there. And this can be a great thing for your scraps. I've got scrap paper here. I can't make up my mind. So I've got scrap paper that I'm going to be tearing up and sticking that in there. That. And I'm also going to be putting some lace in there. So I'm just going to have a play as to how I'm going to do this. So after playing around with this, with the different, different papers, I mean, I tried to add all these different ones. And because this is vellum or see-through, I think it's too much. But if this were plain paper, you can see how fun it would be to have all these little things tucking out of this little slit here. But for this project here, I think just the music paper and the lace, I think, is quite enough going on here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue this all together. Everything is attached. Yep, it's all attached there. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. And because this paper here goes deep inside here, it'll be fine. If you want to, you could just put a little tack of glue between this fold over and the base paper there. You can just tack a little glue up in that corner, but it should hold just peachy. So there's the bag, but it doesn't have enough on it, I don't think. So let's put our project inside. Now I'll just take off this lace here. So cute. Isn't that cute? Yeah, I really like that. That's really cute. Let's stick that inside here. Yeah, should let it dry. I know, I know. Just get so anxious. So we'll put this in here. Okay, that's just enough, I think, to let a little bit of it peek out there at the top. Isn't that cute? And now we're going to make a tag. So you could, now after you've done this here, you could get like a piece of ephemera that is, you know, a centerpiece, a focal point, and you could just glue that right there. Like I could glue that right over there, and that would be really cute as well. So here's her different pieces of ephemera she has in here. I kind of been drawn to these two here. But this, but instead of gluing it on here, I'm going to make a tag out of this because I feel like the person then could use it for something else and just have a tag hanging here. I think that would really be a cute idea. So I am going to put a little eyelet in there. So I tied a little ribbon on that with a little eyelet in there and got a small safety pin, and I'm just going to pin it to the lace there up on top. And there we go. We have a little tag to put on that. Isn't that cute? Let me lower my table. There's our little project with our little tag. And inside is our lovely little folio. So yeah, it's a cute little bag. I think that's an easy way to make a bag. And we'll just, so like I say, you can put so much stuff in here to really make it decorative. Your bag can be like super plain, and then you just get a whole bunch of little papers and stuff them in there. It'll look really nice. So thank you so much for watching, and next time I will do a video on all the stuff I put inside my folio. And so I'll join you then, and you have a great and crafty day. Bye!